Hi there, Omar here with another video tutorial, this time with a Bugs and Kisses pop-up card. This card features the Cricut bug and a watercolor background. Remember, there's a free file to make this card. Just go to the description below. There's a link to my blog where you can download the file. Also, all the products I used are linked in the description below. Have fun! First of all, upload your images to Design Space. Once you've done that, select all 5 of the elements that create this card. Rearrange them on your working space, because you will have to do a couple of things first. To the front of the card and the character, you won't have to do anything. But to the card base and the card background, you will have to attach the drawing lines and the scoring lines to the outside lines. So here you have the background. Select the first layer by clicking on this scissors icon that you have on the left, and change the layer attributes to right. Just select any color you want. Leave the second layer just as it is, and then click on the title of that layer. Click on background and select attach. This way your drawing lines will be attached to your contours. Continue with the card base. Click on the scissors icon and change the layer attributes to score. Do that for the first layer. Then select the title where it says card base and click on attach. That way your scoring lines will be attached to your card base. And you're done. Leave the rest of the elements as they are and click on make it. And here you can see your mats. Here you can see the drawing lines that are attached to your base, and the scoring lines attached to the card base. Here are some more elements. And for the character, if you want to save some cardstock, here's a different arrangement that you can do. You can pause the video right now and rearrange your elements on your mat. Here's the final mat, the black accents for the character. Just click on continue and cut your pieces. I will start with the background already painted. I will make a different video for this. For now, just fold it in half using your scoring board. Continue with the card base. I like to use a pencil to see where my lines are, where my scoring lines are. Sometimes they are not very visible. So I score them on my scoring board again. Fold those scoring lines as you see on the video. The center, make a mountain, and for the side ones, make valleys. That way you will end up with a center fold that looks like this. Erase your pencil marks and start inking your front panel. I used several colors of distress ink on a mini ink blending tool. I always like to use my color chart to pick the right colors. Remember that when you're inking with distress inks, the color looks a lot darker when you first start, but then when it dries, it kind of gets a little lighter. I used a sponge dauber for the smaller pieces, and I also used a Q-tip to ink up the smaller details on the cutout. Just do it very lightly. This will be covered with the front piece, so don't worry about being too neat with it. Now do some accents on the front piece. on the top layer of this cutout. I like to do lines and dots here and there. Just figure out where your light comes from and do those highlight accents with your white gel pen. Be very careful. White gel pens tend to dry very slowly, so be careful not to manipulate your pieces until it's dry. Once you've done that, glue your front piece to the back piece. I tried using my Aleene's tacky glue pen, but it wasn't working. So I ended up using my two-way zig glue pen. It's also a good adhesive for this. And glue both pieces together. I also used an embossing folder for my front panel. Here's my masking tape trick to make sure everything is aligned. Run it through your fingers so it's not that sticky. Center your panel. Put the masking tape on and the double-sided tape. Turn it around. Glue it and remove the masking tape. Perfect alignment every time. I decided to do some stamping on the front of the card, so I used this Blissful Botanicals stamp set from Lawn Fawn, and also a different stamp set that will be linked on the description below. And using a two-color shading with my real brush markers, I did a very simple coloring technique. Blend the colors with a water brush and apply some more color if you want them more vibrant. I did the same for the small ladybug, two-tone shading and some blending, and then I used the dies included with the stamp sets to cut them out, and also added some highlights with a white gel pen. Arrange your pieces and start gluing it. Put your letters first, and then start adding the embellishments, the leaves, and the cuttlebug. I did a very flat layout. I didn't want too much volume or dimension on this because the inside of the card is very bulky. So I just glued them using some liquid adhesive. For the character, I always like to use inking on the edges. I applied a distress ink on the edges of every piece of the character using a mini ink blending foam. Just do a very light inking, don't go too heavy on that. Do also the head piece. Be careful when you get to the antenna because you could bend them. Your antenna might look a little bit different though. I changed the design after making the card. Now for the eye pieces, fold the tabs, those are the gluing tabs, and ink the edges also. For the eyes, I used a Hickory Smoke Distress ink on a dauber. These are smaller pieces, so I ended up using a dauber instead of the mini ink blending foam. Now start assembling the eyes. Glue the white elements to the green one. You can use an acrylic block to let it dry so it dries flat. And put some glue on your craft mat and dip your center pieces on them. It's easier to put instead of putting glue to the small piece. Put an acrylic block on top and let it dry for a couple of minutes. This is a quick drying glue, so it doesn't take too long. And then flatten everything using this plate combination. Run it through your cutting machine, and as you see, you deboss the surface, and the front piece is just flat. I think it works better also once the card is assembled. Now glue the embellishments on the antenna and add also some highlights. You know, I like my highlights. Do the same for the head and the antenna. And start assembling your head. Fold the gluing tabs as you see here, both of them, and you can use a bone folder to work those folds so you can train them. Fold the head piece in half, following those lines that your machine cut. Follow also the gluing tabs on the sides, and fold the eyepiece in the center also. Now work on your reinforcement piece. This is the small piece that you have to fold in half, and then fold the tabs at the ends. Do one side, then do the other side also. Remember, the design includes small cut lines that will guide you through the folding. Apply some glue to the center of this reinforcement piece, and glue it, being careful not to glue the tabs at the ends. Now glue the gluing tabs. Apply some glue just to the inner third of the tab. Make sure not to glue the center third. Do the same on the other side, making sure not to glue the center third of the tab. And then glue your reinforcement piece. Apply glue to one side. Glue it to the center. It's a good idea to kind of fold it before you glue it, and then give it a good press. Let it dry for a bit, and then glue the eyepiece to the head piece. Apply glue to the gluing tabs. It's a good idea to fold it all the way, and remember, the center third of the eyepiece matches the gluing tab on the head. Continue with the reinforcement piece. Glue it to the center of the head, making sure each piece of the gluing tab is on one side of the center line. Glue the other tab. You can use a bone folder so it's glued correctly. And there you go. Fold it in half to make sure it works, and work the folds a couple of times to train them. Finally, at the mouth, make sure to put the mouth next to the fold. Do not place it in the middle. And finally, start working on the background. Apply glue to the lower part of the body, matching the center lines. Make sure to match also the lines drawn on the background. Fold it in half a couple of times, work it with a bone folder. And here's the most important part. For the top body piece, fold it in half using a bone folder. Make sure to train that fold. And here's the tricky part. Those 45-degree angles go right to the center. Work them with a bone folder. And next, fold the arms down, following those small cut lines. Do the same on both pieces. And now open it up and press in the center so you make this mountain a valley. Do the same on the other side. Open it up, press on the center fold, making the mountain a valley, and finally give it a good press with your bone folder. Now glue the top body piece to the lower body piece, applying glue just to the gluing tabs. Remember not to put glue anywhere outside those gluing tabs. Match the center, give it a good press, turn it around and press it a little bit more. Make sure the corners of the background match and work it with the bone folder. Now it's time to glue the head to the body. There are small guidelines that your machine will cut. I like to make them more visible with a pencil, and make sure the gluing tab on the head matches those guidelines. Do the same on the other side. Apply some glue to the gluing tabs and do one side at a time. This piece doesn't lay flat on the top body piece, so make sure to use some sewing clips or paper clips to hold them in place while they dry. Erase the pencil markings that you just did, and you are pretty much done with the pop-up part of the card. Make sure everything works. Now finish up your card by putting the inside panels, aligning them to the right edge of the card base, and doing the masking tape trick. Make sure they are centered. Remove the masking tape. I didn't run them through my fingers this time enough. That will be covered, so it's not much of a deal. But remember to run that masking tape through your hands or your fingers a couple of times so it's not that sticky. Do the same with the panel on the left. You will see a gap in the center. Now start gluing your background. Also use some double-sided tape. And this time align the center of the background to the left edge of the right panel. Do the masking tape trick. Put the tape on the right edge. Remove the double-sided, the backing of the double-sided tape, and glue it in place, making sure it's centered. Remove the masking tape from the edge. And here's the tricky part. Put some sewing clips on the edge, making sure the center panels are aligned, the inside panels are aligned. Now remove the masking tape and close the card. This fold on the center of the card will help the card to work properly. If you don't do that, the card won't open correctly. And you're pretty much done. Thanks for sticking with me all the way to the end of this tutorial. I know it's been kind of long. Here are a couple more videos you could be interested in. If you like this project, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. See you soon. Bye bye.